Welcome to English Easy Hub. Join us as we ignite the flames of your English learning journey together.
Please subscribe to watch and embark on your English learning journey. Don't miss out on the exciting content. In this conversation, Alex seeks guidance from his professor on how to speak English fluently and confidently. He shares common struggles such as forgetting words mid-sentence, dealing with nervousness, understanding humor, improving storytelling, and maintaining smooth speech flow. The professor provides in-depth advice, emphasizing practical strategies like active listening, shadowing, thinking in English, using transition words, and handling real-life conversations effectively. The discussion highlights the importance of consistency, exposure, and developing natural speech habits to achieve fluency.
Professor, this daily routine seems effective, but how long will it take to see real progress? I sometimes feel like I'm not improving fast enough.
That's a great question, Alex. The speed of progress depends on consistency, effort, and the quality of practice. If you practice daily using the methods we discussed, you will notice improvement in a few weeks. However, real fluency requires months or even years of dedicated practice. The key is to track progress in small ways. Record yourself speaking once a month and compare it to previous recordings. This will show you how much you've improved. Also, celebrate small victories, like successfully having conversation without hesitation. These small wins will keep you motivated.
That makes sense. But what if I get stuck on a word mid-sentence? Should I pause and try to remember it, or just keep going?
Always keep going. Pausing to search for a word disrupts fluency and makes you feel more self-conscious. Instead, use paraphrasing. For example, if you forget the word thermometer, you could say the tool that measures temperature. Another trick is to use filler phrases like, "Let me put another way," or "What I mean is, this buys you time to think while keeping the conversation flowing." The more you train yourself to keep talking, the less often you'll feel stuck.
I see. But when I try to talk for a long time, I sometimes feel like my sentences become repetitive. How can I make my speech more natural and varied?
Great observation. To make your speech more natural, focus on learning synonyms, idioms, and transition words. Instead of always saying, "That's interesting," you can say, "That's fascinating," "That's intriguing," or "That's really cool." Also, use transition words to make your speech smoother. Instead of jumping between ideas abruptly, use phrases like, "Speaking of that, by the way," or "That reminds me of." These small changes make a big difference in how natural your speech sounds.
That's really helpful. I've also noticed that when I speak, I sometimes use the wrong verb tense or grammar structure. Should I stop and correct myself, or just continue?
It depends on the situation. In casual conversations, don't stop for small mistakes. Just keep going. Native speakers often make grammar mistakes in speech, but they don't let it interrupt communication. However, in formal settings, like presentations or interviews, self-correction can be useful. If you realize a mistake and want to correct it naturally, use phrases like, "Actually, I meant to say," or "Let me rephrase that." This shows confidence rather than hesitation.
That's reassuring. But I also struggle with understanding jokes and humor in English. Sometimes, people laugh at something, and I don't get it. How can I improve?
English humor can be tricky because it often involves wordplay, cultural references, or sarcasm. To improve, expose yourself to comedic content like stand-up comedy, sitcoms, and humorous podcasts. Try to analyze why a joke is funny. Does it involve exaggeration, irony, or double meanings? If you don't understand a joke, don't be afraid to ask, "What does that mean?" Over time, as you become more familiar with cultural humor, you'll start understanding jokes more naturally.
That's a great tip. Speaking of culture, I sometimes struggle with cultural differences in conversations. For example, I don't always know what topics are appropriate to discuss. How can I navigate this?
Understanding cultural norms is crucial for fluent and confident communication. In many Western cultures, small talk topics like weather, hobbies, and travel are common, but personal questions like age or salary may be considered impolite. In professional settings, keeping conversations light and positive is often preferred. A good way to learn cultural norms is to observe how native speakers interact in different situations, whether in movies, interviews, or real-life conversations. Also, if you're unsure about a topic, a safe approach is to follow the other person's lead. If they bring up a subject, it's likely acceptable to discuss.
That makes a lot of sense. But what if I don't understand someone's accent? Some people speak very differently from what I'm used to.
Accents can be challenging, but the key is exposure. Listen to a variety of English accents: British, American, Australian, Indian, and more. Websites like YouTube and podcasts are great for this. Also, focus on understanding keywords rather than trying to catch every single word. Even native speakers sometimes struggle with unfamiliar accents, so don't be discouraged. If needed, you can politely ask, "Could you repeat that?" Or "Can you say that in a different way?" These are natural ways to handle difficult accents.
That's good to know. I also want to improve my storytelling skills in English. I notice that when native speakers tell stories, they sound engaging, but when I do it, my stories seem dull. How can I improve?
Storytelling is an art, and in English, it often follows a clear structure: setting, conflict, and resolution. To make your stories more engaging, use descriptive language, emotions, and a sense of suspense. Instead of saying, "I went to the beach and it was nice," say, "I visited a beautiful beach with golden sand and clear blue water. It felt like paradise." Also, use pauses and voice changes to create excitement. Finally, practice telling short, interesting stories about your life. People love personal experiences.
That sounds fun. I'll start practicing storytelling. But what about formal English? Sometimes, I have to give presentations or write professional emails. How can I make my English sound more professional?
In formal English, clarity and structure are key. Avoid slang and overly casual phrases. Instead of saying, "Hey, can you send me that file?" say, "Could you please send me the file?" Also, use linking words like "furthermore," "in addition," and "however" to make your speech more structured. For presentations, practice speaking at a steady pace and emphasizing key points. If you want to sound more professional in emails, use polite phrases like, "I hope this email finds you well," or "I appreciate your time and assistance." The more you expose yourself to formal English, the easier it will become.
That's really useful. But I sometimes feel overwhelmed. There's so much to learn. How can I stay motivated and not give up?
Motivation comes from progress and enjoyment. Set small, achievable goals, like learning 5 new phrases a week or having 1 English conversation per day. Also, make learning fun. Watch movies, play English games, or read books that interest you. Find a language partner who shares your interests, so learning feels like a social activity rather than a chore. Finally, remind yourself why you started learning English. Whether it's for travel, career growth, or making international friends, keeping your goal in mind will help you stay motivated.
Professor, I've been practicing speaking more, but sometimes I run out of breath or my sentences feel choppy. How can I improve my speech flow and make it sound smoother?
That's a great point, Alex. Smooth speech requires good breath control, natural rhythm, and proper pacing. Many language learners either speak too fast, causing them to run out of breath, or too slowly, making their speech sound unnatural. To improve, practice speaking in chunks rather than word by word. For example, instead of saying, "I want to improve my English," try grouping words naturally. "I want to improve my English." This mimics how native speakers talk. Also, try reading aloud with expression, news articles, speeches, or even dialogues from movies. This helps you develop a natural rhythm. Lastly, don't forget to breathe. Take natural pauses at commas and periods, just like in writing.
That makes so much sense. But sometimes, when I'm speaking, I feel like I don't sound expressive enough. My voice sounds flat, and I don't convey emotions well. How can I improve my intonation?
Intonation is key to sounding natural and engaging. English speakers use rising and falling tones to express emotions and meaning. For example, when asking a yes/no question, the pitch usually rises at the end, Are you coming? But for WH questions, the pitch usually falls. Where are you going? To improve, listen to native speakers and mimic their tone. This is called intonation shadowing. Another great method is to exaggerate your emotions while speaking. If you're happy, let your voice rise with excitement. If you're surprised, let it show in your tone. Practicing with different emotions will help your speech sound more dynamic and natural.
I love that idea. I'll start paying more attention to how native speakers use tone. But one thing I've noticed is that when I talk to someone in English, I get nervous and forget everything I've learned. How can I stay calm and focused?
That's completely normal, Alex. Speaking a foreign language under pressure can make your mind go blank. The key is preparation and mindset. Before speaking, take a deep breath and remind yourself that communication is more important than perfection. If you feel nervous, start with simple sentences and gradually build up. Another helpful trick is to have go-to phrases ready. For example, if you need time to think, use fillers like "that's a great question" or "let me think about that for a second." This buys you time while keeping the conversation flowing. Also, practice speaking in stressful situations. Join group discussions, record yourself on video, or even talk to yourself in a mirror. The more you expose yourself to pressure, the more confident you'll become.
That's a great approach. One last question. Sometimes I feel like I understand English when I read or listen, but when I try to speak, my brain doesn't respond fast enough. How can I train my brain to think faster in English?
This is a crucial step in achieving fluency. Your brain needs to build thinking in English as a habit. One of the best exercises is rapid response drills. Give yourself a question and answer it immediately without pausing. For example, ask, "What did I do yesterday?" and quickly respond in English. Another great method is 1-minute speaking challenges. Pick a random topic and talk about it for 1 minute without stopping. This forces your brain to think quickly. Lastly, immerse yourself in English as much as possible. Set your phone to English, describe your daily activities in English, and even dream in English. The more you surround yourself with the language, the faster your brain will process it.
That's really powerful advice. I feel like I have so many practical strategies now. I'm excited to keep practicing and improving.
That's the spirit, Alex. Keep applying these techniques, and I guarantee you'll see progress. Fluency is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to your goal. Keep going and enjoy the process.
The professor reassures Alex that fluency is a journey, not an overnight achievement. By practicing consistently, embracing mistakes, and immersing himself in the language, Alex can build confidence and natural fluency over time. The key takeaways include thinking in English, improving intonation and storytelling, staying calm under pressure, and using structured techniques to enhance communication skills. The conversation ends on an encouraging note, reinforcing the idea that persistence and enjoyment in the learning process will ultimately lead to success.
Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share to keep the English learning journey alive.